feel like somebody's watching me, and I have no privacy.
Good evening, ghosts and ghouls. It's the one, the only JT Ripper.
And I'm Todd of Thunder.
And you're listening to a horrible podcast where today we're going to be reviewing Smile on Paramount Plus, if you want to watch it.
Yes, this is a new movie, 2022.
Yeah.
Was in theaters, now came to Paramount Plus, where we have had an opportunity to watch, and we're going to give you some feedback of what we thought of the movie. And out of a 10, we're going to tell you what we will give the movie as far as a ranking.
Yeah. It came, I think, week before last or something like that.
Yeah, it hasn't been too long.
It hasn't been on streaming too long. It's a good psychological possession movie. Kind of okay. So it takes The Ring, and it adds this concept of like when you get like a chain letter, so to speak. Like, you know, you got to pass it off, or you're going to have bad luck within a certain amount of days. You're not exactly sure how many days and stuff like that. So what happens is that this girl is a therapist, and has one of her clients in there, and she's freaking out, and she's saying this thing's following her, and she can't get rid of her, and she's seeing people and things, and it's tricking her and fucking with her mind. And then all of a sudden she turns and she's smiling, and she kills herself in front of the therapist.
Which starts the chain.
Rose was her name? The main character, Rose?
Yes, I believe her name is Rose.
Rose. So, you know, shit starts going wrong. She starts seeing things. So it kind of has, like, when I say The Ring, you know, it's kind of like...
Just in concept
In
alone.
concept.
Yeah.
That this thing is, like, fucking with her mind. She has to find out about it and try to get rid of it.
Yeah,
She tries.
It's that typical, like, nobody believes her type of story.
Yeah, she's going crazy.
She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know how to deal with it because everybody is, like, you know, treating her like she's crazy. And a lot of people are thinking that this is because of a tragic event that happened in her life in the past.
Right.
Which might be flaring up these freakouts.
Right. And the fact that her client killed herself in front of her, and that she just has all this trauma in her life.
So it's kind of basically like the therapist becomes like the patient almost, but she doesn't have a therapist, so she has to like do it all herself.
Pretty much. Well, I mean, she goes and talks to a therapist, but her therapist thinks she's fucking crazy. Doesn't believe her.
Yeah.
Her fiance doesn't believe her. Things are going wrong, and she's trying to get rid of this thing and beat this thing.
And the only person that seems to care or kind of help her
is her ex.
It's not real clear if it's an ex-husband or if it's an ex-boyfriend, but
or a fiance or something.
He still thinks she's kind of nutty, but he's willing to believe a little bit more than everybody else.
And then all of a sudden, like he starts digging with her, and then he starts seeing like things.
Yeah, because he's a cop, by the way.
Yeah.
So he has access to find out like
information,
all of these suicides and how it happened
and how they're linked.
Yeah,
and what they seen.
How one person committed suicide, and then all of a sudden that person that was a witness to it, they were next, and then so on and so forth. So he kind of puts a pattern together.
Yeah, and then, you know, they're doing their research, and they find out that one guy broke the chain, and he's now in prison because he killed somebody. So they go and see him, and he tells her that the only way that she can break the chain is if she kills somebody in front of somebody else brutally. And he says brutally, like it has to be, like, worth it. And then this thing will go to something else. They really didn't explain that, like, because,
But it worked for him.
But it worked for him.
So it's one of those things where it's like, this is the only thing that worked.
Right. And she won't tell her boyfriend, well, not her ex-boyfriend, what she has to do and everything. And it has some twists and turns. Psychologically, like, you think she's going to kill, like, one of her patients in front of somebody, and then all of a sudden it snaps back to her and she's in a car and she wakes up. And, so to speak, you know, it's fucking with her mentally, and she can't tell reality for a little bit. Kind of jumping in and out, trying to figure out solutions to the problem. She thinks that she's going to have to barricade herself and battle this thing mentally, and she goes back to her old abandoned home where her mother overdosed.
Which is
in front of her.
Yeah, which is what was her traumatic thing in her past. That's
Right.
what was referred to earlier.
Yeah, and come to find out that she let her mom die because she was scared of her mom and stuff like that. So she's like battling this demon. I'm guessing it was a demon. They really didn't say.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I think it was a different entity, but it took the shape of something that traumatized her.
Yeah.
So I believe if they ever made a sequel, it might look totally different in the sequel. It probably takes the shape of what scares the person is dealing with at the moment.
Because it was like some kind of freakishly like mutated version of her
Right.
mom.
Because you didn't see this at all through the other patients. You just saw it through her eyes of what it looked like to her. So
Right.
it might have looked totally different to the patients.
Yeah, this thing can be different to many different people.
Right.
And, you know, you think she sits there and she kills her and, you know, everything's all hunky-dory, and then all of a sudden she's not even in the house yet.
Yeah, it's
The whole thing was in her head.
It definitely had some twists and turns to it. It definitely had some freaky scenes that.
It got me jumping twice, and that never happens.
I would say that it was more than just random jump scares. It actually like got you a little bit in this film. Mm-hmm. Overall, this film was very well acted. It was very well written. It was very well put together. It was a film that you actually have to watch piece by piece to understand. Imagine that.
Yeah.
A lot of new films don't really do that. They either don't explain anything or they explained it too much to you to where, you know, it's kind of like, do I really need to finish this? But this one, you know, scene after scene revealed more and more. So,
yeah.
Cinematography was great. The use of atmosphere was great.
Yeah.
The score in it was good.
Yeah, they used kind of some sound effects that sounded like kind of 80s synth, and it worked very well.
Yeah. And I really like the opening title. Like, you know, when the title of the movie pops up,
Yeah.
they actually used like this, like, and then it just went silent. Like,
Yeah.
it was so unnecessary, but so like, hey, you know, you're about to watch a fucking event here, you know.
Right. I like how they changed the tone, like, because it starts off in, she's like this happy counselor, you know, and like if it doesn't feel like a horror movie, and then like when her patient like fucking slits her fucking throat in front of her,
Yeah.
like it just, the movie like feels different after that point.
Yeah, after that point, it's like the shit is on.
Yeah, and I like it's very hard for movies these days to give you that feel. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know, like you're like, oh shit, like this is going into like a crazy direction. I loved the atmosphere in this movie. As far as the acting in it, fucking spectacular. I can't. I don't. I didn't look at the girl that played the main girl Rose in this movie, but she was fucking fantastic in this movie.
Yeah, she was great, despite having a big ass mole on her face.
That too.
But I think it added.
Mole.
Yeah, but it took away nothing from her acting. I
No.
was just making a joke, but she was very good. Everybody played their part extremely well in this.
Yeah. I believe that she was crazy.
Well, I believe that everybody else believed she was crazy.
Yeah. And the asshole therapist that didn't believe her, like, she felt like a bitch that you wanted to die.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she felt like one of those, like, therapists that make you, you go to talk to and they look at you and they just smile and they don't really hear you.
Right. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, they do the typical bullshit, But
Tell me how you think about that.
Yeah. Overall, all the characters were great.
The ending.
I love the ending. I thought the
Was
ending
awesome.
I thought that the ending pretty much left it open if they want to revisit this and make a sequel, or maybe they don't want to continue the story and just make a brand new film with the same concept. I would be fine with that.
Yeah, because so what happened is that your main person Rose actually wound up getting possessed, or
This entity got
got
inside her,
inside of her, and
which is what it does to all of the victims, and that's where the whole smile
Smile
thing comes in.
So he breaks down the door, and all of a sudden she's there, and she's just dumping what looks to be gas on her, but I think it was kerosene. Either way, and she turns around slowly, and she's smiling at him, and then it like zooms in on his face, and she like strikes a match, and you see her burning, but in his eyes.
Which is indicating that, again, somebody is killing themselves in front of another person, so the chain will continue.
Yeah.
Which is why I say it was great to lead. If you're going to lead somebody into thinking that it might be a sequel, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah. So, and you don't even have to bring him back. You could be like, he could kill himself in front of somebody else. He got possessed and so forth and so on, and connect it back if you wanted to. But I'm pretty sure he would come back for a sequel.
Yeah. Actually, I hope he does, because I thought he was a great actor.
Yes.
The only knock on him is that I believe he was one of the guys that played in the remake to A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, I did think he looked familiar, but that's not his fault for a shitty movie.
No, that's not his fault.
But everybody in this movie was fantastic.
Yeah, everybody was fantastic. Well, rating time. Been thinking long and hard. Out of a 10, what would you give this film, buddy?
That's kind of hard. I'm leaning towards 8.
Funny you say that, because I'm leaning towards 7.5.
Interesting. I'm giving it an 8 because, like, where it felt familiar, it was different. Mm-hmm. The score was amazing. The acting was
Good.
spectacular. I understand why it did so good at the box office. Love seeing something original, something new, like Smiling Barbarian. Thank God. Honestly, now thinking about it, I wanted to, I don't know, I guess a little bit more out of it is why I give it an 8, not really like higher up. But I teetered on 7.5 because of that. Because I didn't know if I was watching like a ghost movie. I didn't know if it was a demon. I didn't know exactly what it was. I don't know if I missed something or I need to go back and watch it. But I still loved it. I still think it's a great movie. If I was rating it on like buy, rent, or own, I would say own it.
Yeah, I think it would be a great contribution to your your horror collection on DVD, Blu-ray, or digital, however you purchase your stuff. Yeah, I'm going to stick with 7.5, but I've only seen it once. If I revisit it, it could change. I've done that, my opinion of Halloween Ends changed. So, this isn't a definitive, this is like our first reaction or our first rating to a movie that we saw for the first time. So it always could change, but I think right now I'm comfortable sticking it with 7.5.
Yes, I'm still going to give it an 8 because it was solid. It was great. I kind of wish I would have saw it in theaters now.
Yeah, but
I feel
overall,
like I would have jumped a little bit more.
Yeah, overall, I would say, we definitely recommend this movie to watch.
Absolutely. If you haven't watched it, watch it. Download Paramount Plus. Get your free weekend. Watch this movie.
It's worth it.
It's worth it. It's a goodie. It's worth a Google.
Yeah, it's worth a Google.
It's
but
worth a Google.
I reckon that'll be the end of this review.
Yeah, I think that's going to be it. And as always, I'm JT Ripper.
And I'm Todd of Thunder.
Until next time,
Toodaloo.
and eat a dick.